The only way to start my morning, let me chug some Stella Blue coffee, and we're going to get right to it. I'm joined as always by Tyler Moody from Louisiana. What's up, Mr. Moody? How are you doing this morning?
Hey, good morning, Ben. This is one of those mornings where I wish I was a coffee drinker. I'm not necessarily a coffee fan, and I'm dragging ass a little bit this morning. But yeah, definitely some Stella Blue would get me going.
Hell yeah. Well, I'm up. I'm ready. We're fired up. The Barstool office is popping. We've got our film fest going on. For once in my life, I'm going to try to not spoil something here, but we've got a long day of shooting today. They announced the draft on the Yak yesterday, and it's really fun. We have four teams in here. One gets a biopic, one an action, one romance, and one horror film. And I don't want to give too much away. Like I said, I'm terrified. I'm still gun shy. We're going to get right to it. We need to stay out of all that. But long day of shooting. I've never really done any acting, so today is going to be quite a day. We've got to have this thing finished by later tonight. So long day of shooting ahead. The Barstool office is already popping. All the teams are up, moving. Things are happening here, man. There's a vibe, there's an energy, and that's because we've got a lot of fun stuff to get to this weekend as well. Rough and Rowdy tomorrow night. Moody, you're a Rough and Rowdy fan, right?
Yeah, Rough and Rowdy's. I mean, it's not it's not necessarily the fights that intrigue you about Rough and Rowdy because some of these dudes they're just they're not very talented, obviously, but it's just the atmosphere. It's just Barstool content that makes it so good.
It is, and it's an all new card, all new fighters tomorrow night. Hot ring girls, Dave, Big Cat, all hell going to break loose in West Virginia. It always gets rowdy in West Virginia. Buy rnr.com if you've never seen it. It's one of our favorite things we do. Great commentary, hilarity, fights with no headgear. I've got to go to two of them. I mean, there's nothing like a Rough and Rowdy. It's just a whole hilarious, fun deal, and it's a very reasonable price as well. So buy rnr.com. Join us for Rough and Rowdy tomorrow. Also this weekend, Barstool River North, starting tonight in Chicago, is having a jam fest with live music all weekend, Thursday through Sunday. Ohio's Tate and me hosting a wing eating competition Sunday at 2 p.m. Moody, are you surprised I'm hosting the wing eating competition instead of being a contestant?
I feel like you're probably gonna do a pretty good job as a host here.
Thank you.
Good idea for them to put you in that position.
Yeah, we're excited. So I got that Sunday, 2 p.m. Next week, huge week. We're 1 week out from the NFL draft. We've got a red carpet event later next week for our film fest. As always, Barstool moving and shaking. And oh yeah, I didn't mention on Saturday, one of the coolest things we do too in New York. This is at the Islanders Arena. We've got the FDNY against the Cops of New York, the NYPD against the FDNY hockey game. Jake Marshall on the call. The Spittin' Chicklets guys are over there. Dave Portnoy's going. So huge week as always. I mean, it's still, it ain't for a lack of being busy. We're out there. We're hitting, the hockey world, boxing, film fest. I mean, it's Barstool. It's the best. It's the best. You never know what you're going to get into on a day-to-day basis of this company. That's for damn sure. All right, let's get into a few things here, sports related. I want to talk some baseball today with Moody too, because Moody, you're getting kind of hot, huh?
Yeah, we're finally heating back up. We've gotten into the we're positive as far as the units are concerned. Had another 28-1 parlay yesterday, and the last 2 days I have been incredibly close to like popping off. I had a 600-1 parlay that fell one leg short.
600 to 1.
600-1 parlay that fell one leg short.
Was that like four different people to
It was
homer?
four different people to homer. I had that fell one leg short. I had 160-1 parlay that fell one leg short, and then I've had multiple like 40-1, 30-1 parlays that have just been right there. So we're heating up. I'm all over the right guys again. And the crazy thing about it is, Major League Baseball, the home runs are down. I mean, way down compared to where we were at last season. We're seeing really the slowest start in Major League Baseball as far as home runs are concerned in quite a while. So the fact that we've been able to kind of right the ship and get back to even here despite the lack of home runs is actually pretty impressive. So I feel good as the weather starts to change and NBA season gets over. I think the baseball is going to start miraculously flying again.
As always, check out lines on DraftKings. They've got the Moody posts his home run props at Moody Mac TV, but you also give out your regular baseball plays as well. How have they been doing?
Yeah, I'm up like four, maybe three and a half, 4 units just on my plays. I hit a 4-1 parlay yesterday. It was Kansas City, Baltimore, and Atlanta money line. parlay. So all those together, 4 to 1. Hit that for half a unit, paid back 2. So yeah, slowly but surely building some momentum, starting to feel pretty good in the middle of the season, and just glad baseball's back, man. I mean, it's all day, every day. I have fantasy teams. I got 3 different fantasy teams. So as soon as I wake up, there's something sports related ready to hit me right in the face, and I mean, what's better?
Hell yeah, man. Baseball season never ending. I know you love it. I want to get into the NBA playoff stuff. First of all, y'all saw me yesterday was probably the most down I've been. I'm a upbeat, positive guy. I'm freaking happy to be alive. We're in here working at Barstool. I mean, what could be better? What could be better? Having said that, this Zion Williamson situation has greatly affected me for a 40-year-old man. Now it came out yesterday. It's a hamstring injury. The earliest he could come back is in game 5 of the first round series. And I feel like that's being positive. I think that might be being a little auspicious with a hamstring injury. So he's out Friday night. The Pelicans play the Kings at home. Kings are a 1.5-point favorite on the road, despite being 0-5 against the Pels. Moody, I try to find positivity in all situations. I'm really struggling to see any reason why I should feel good about the Pels Friday at
I
all.
mean, there is no
I'm
positivity.
feeling there's the vibes are just dead.
There's no positivity to be found at this point. I mean, Zion. It feels like everything just kind of collapsed on the floor in the fourth quarter, a couple nights ago. So it sucks for the Pels as someone that does cheer for the Pels. Obviously, my heart doesn't break the way that yours does for the Pels, but it just sucks to see, man. I mean, Zion was putting together such a great season. He was rounding into form. It feels like the Pels had found something with him running the point guard position as well, and for them to lose him, it's probably too big a blow. Even if they were to win this play-in game, it's too big of a blow for them to overcome down the stretch here.
It's the worst. I mean, you wait 5 years for Zion to play in a postseason game. He comes out and drops 40 on the Lakers, having the game of his career that he's waited on, and then just hurts his hamstring with 2 minutes left. It's just, I don't know. Anyway, I need to quit bitching about it. I can't do anything about it, but I'm upset. I know a lot of people from New Orleans are upset, and it sucks. Last night's playing game, I took the Heat money line plus 185 against the Sixers, and they were winning the whole game. And then Philadelphia came back and got them in the second half. Unfortunately, big for Philly though, because there is a 7 seed. They're taking on the Knicks as a 2 seed. And I think Philly's kind of optimistic they got a shot. That East is behind the Celtics. It seems kind of wide open. The other playing game, the Bulls blew out the Hawks here in Chicago. Big Cat told me, I asked Big Cat on the way out yesterday. I said, what's going to happen to the Bulls Hawks game? He said, we're going to kill them. It's like, okay. Well, he was right. So thank you, Big Cat, for that. The Bulls will play Miami in Miami on Friday, and the other playing game with the winner taking on the 1 seed Boston Celtics. So now the NBA playoffs kind of rounded into the form. The East, the Celtics are just the obvious huge favorite. Milwaukee, Giannis looks like he's going to be out. They've kind of fallen apart since they hired Doc Rivers. The East does have more depth this year, though. That's what's kind of fun to me, because last few years, usually like your 6, 7, and 8 seeds are kind of weak in the East. Well, I guess Miami's made runs out of it. But this year, Orlando's emerged. You still got Miami at the Miami Bull. I feel like Miami's a pretty strong 8 seed. The Sixers are a really good 7 seed. They're only down there because Embiid was hurt a lot this year. The Cavs are pretty good. Look, I don't think it's going to, I think it should be pretty competitive. I don't know if anybody can compete with Boston. On the West side, though, hell yeah, Moody. I know you like the Western Conference stuff. I mean, the Suns, I believe, I think they might be favored over the T-Wolves in that first round series. You've got a Lakers, Nuggets, LeBron, and AD taking on the defending champs, and Jamal Murray and Jokic and all those guys. That's an exciting first round series. The Thunder await the winner of the Pels Kings, and then you've got a Clippers Mavericks series, and the Mavericks super emerged down the stretch, man. Luka's balling. Is Luka? You're looking at the NBA. Is Luka? Do you think Luka's the best player now, or one of them?
It doesn't feel like. It seems like every time one of these guys wants to put themselves as the best player in the league, here comes Giannis to like make you think twice, or here comes Luka to make you think twice, or here's Jokic putting together another MVP season. So it's really tough. I think you've got a handful of guys that are right there for top guy in the NBA. It's tough to look away from Jokic right now because he just does everything. He's so complete. Now Luka is almost in that conversation as well, but Jokic, man, he's on another level. The way he takes care of the basketball, the way the whole game runs through him, it's just impressive stuff. So I think I've got him as the most complete player in the NBA, but no doubt Luka has a chance to step past everyone this playoff season. I mean, if he really makes a run, puts the team on his back, yeah, I think we could be looking at a spot where we're calling Luka the best player in the
Yeah,
NBA in a couple months.
I think in the Jokic thing, I mean, multiple time MVP, and then they finally got over the playoff hump last year. So I think that's totally fair. Do you think Denver can be beat, or they too good in the West?
No, they can be beat. I think actually the NBA is as wide open as I have seen it ever. The Celtics, yeah, they're the best team in the East, but they always feel like they could choke when the playoffs come around. So I'm not 100% sold on the Celtics. The West, it feels wide open. So I think you're going to have a potential like crazy scenario where you have the 4 seed playing out of each conference or something like.
No, I
I
agree,
can
and
see it happening.
I'm looking up right now on DraftKings. I'm gonna look up some futures and odds to win the playoffs. Let me see what it is. Where's the thing? Futures. Well, I was trying to look up odds to win the East and West. 'Cause I remember last year you had the Nuggets and I had the Nuggets and you took
I think it's a
Golden
Golden
State.
State, yeah.
Yeah, Golden State, boy, did you see the scene with Klay Thompson? He had no points in 30 minutes and he kind of took like a long last look, like walking off the floor. I think that's it for him.
Yeah, it's a sad in a way. Like I'm not a big Warriors fan, but how could you not have a ton of respect for what they've done? It's been incredible to watch Steve Kerr build this team up, the rise of Steph Curry, the greatest shooter to ever touch a basketball. I mean, one of the top 5 greatest players ever in my personal opinion. I mean, I put Steph on that level just because of the way he's changed the game. It's just it is sad to see them kind of falling apart down the stretch. Clay, one of the best two-way players in the NBA for the last few years, and to kind of watch him just fall apart in front of our eyes, it sucks because this is a franchise, a dynasty, and it appears as though their time is over, Ben.
All right, so I'm looking right now at odds to win the NBA championship on DraftKings. Celtics 3-2, Nuggets 3-1, then everybody else is longer odds. So like let's take them out of it. Okay. Clippers 12-1, Bucks 16-1, Thunder 16-1, Mavericks 16-1, Philly 17, Phoenix 19, Lakers 22, T Wolves 25, Knicks 40, Cavs 65, Heat 75, Pacers 100. Let's hypothetically say you can't take the Celtics or the Nuggets. Which of these teams do you think could surprise and make a big run?
Whew, I mean, it's crazy that they have them as such big favorites. I mean, I think Dallas at 16-1 has to be in play. I
I
would
think so too.
probably lean. Oh man, I'd probably lean either Dallas 16-1 or maybe Milwaukee 16-1. Just because probably Milwaukee would be my pick here because you have a slightly easier schedule, going through the East. The West is just it's a gauntlet. So yeah, I'd probably lean towards Milwaukee at 16-1 if I was gonna go somewhere.
That's fair. I'm looking at the Phoenix 19-1's interesting, but they have to go on the road. But I feel like Bradley Beal has been waiting his whole career on this playoff opportunity, and he could go just off this year. And for Phoenix, so I'm looking out for that. But I'm going to go with Dallas 16-1 too, because I think Luka. We know what superstar he is. I like their matchup. I think they can beat the Clippers first round too. I really do. I think the Clippers are beatable. But NBA playoffs, like I said, the playing games tomorrow night. Check that out. We'll actually watch Rough and Rowdy, but then flip over to the play-in after that's over when you get a chance. But NBA playoffs in full swing. Some other stuff to get into. So baseball wise, I do want to come back to some stuff. Just so far, any surprises or disappointments? I know the Astros kind of had a slow start.
Yeah, I think the Astros would be one of the big surprises to this point. The fact that they've struggled so much, their pitching has been terrible. I mean, the lineup's been pretty good. Jordan hitting the ball well. Altuve's been good, but it's been the pitching for the Astros. Um, the Angels are solid. That doesn't really surprise me. Like Mike Trout's still one of the best players in baseball. It's not like I haven't sold stock on Mike Trout at all. I know everybody else is ready to write off the Angels because of the trades that they've made and losing Otani. They've still got some talented dudes there. Right now, they're second in the West. I am a little surprised by the Yankees being 13-6. They have the best record in baseball, and it's not because Stanton's hitting the ball, Soto's hitting the ball. That doesn't surprise me. It's the fact that their pitching staff has been pretty good to this point. I mean, they've allowed 70 runs. That's one of the best numbers in the entire major league. So like they've had one of the best pitching performances to this point. So the Yankees have surprised me. Um,
Especially with Cole being out.
yeah, with Cole being out, I mean that's obviously the what I'm alluding to the most right there. And I don't like the rest of the Yankees pitching staff on the back end, but They have outperformed what we thought. And then the Pittsburgh Pirates, like the question for me becomes if a month from now they are still, square, or they're still at the top of the division. They have a chance to potentially, make a run. Do they go ahead and bring up Skeens? Like, will we see Paul Skeens sooner rather than later if the Pittsburgh Pirates are, in the playoff hunt? Because Paul Skeens, in my opinion, is a top 3 pitcher in Major League Baseball right now. Like, from what I've seen from Skeens, dude, he's got everything that's needed to be the ace of Major League Baseball the second he steps on the mound for his rookie debut. He's that good, in my opinion.
Look, I've never seen last year he led he's part of that LSU national championship team. I've never seen a college pitcher that polished.
Yep.
Because I mean, you see guys that throw 99, 100 all the time now, but as far as putting it in location on the knees, the outside corner, and heaven breaking stuff, I don't know. He just, I mean, it reminded me of like Mark Pryor and Strasburg, but so hopefully he stays more healthy than those guys have in their career. But I mean, he is just unreal. And if in that NL Central, I mean, there's no super dominant team in there, so that would make sense if Pittsburgh uh, could get him up. I'm excited to see what his career unfolds. Anything in the NL kind of surprising? The Met. I've noticed a lot of less Frank the Tank rants about the Mets lately. It seems like they're playing better.
Mets are playing okay. Starling Marte's hot right now. He homered yesterday. The Mets found a way to escape a series against the Royals in which it looked like early on in the series the Royals were going to take the series. The Mets would keep folding, but they righted the ship. They've played better baseball the last couple. I see Ben here in the chat on YouTube talking about not mentioning the Guardians. Yeah, the Guardians are off to a great start. That division's really interesting because it's pretty apparent that the Twins are going to strike out a ton. And that's, Kansas City, I don't trust their pitching staff down the stretch, while Bobby Witt has definitely taken the step forward. Salvador Perez is still a stud. Melendez is good. I just don't think Kansas City is as talented as Cleveland. But yeah, the Guardians are a fun team. They're pitching well. It just sucks for Cleveland that they lost Shane Bieber because, I mean,
He's out for the year too,
he's
right?
done. I mean, he's your ace. He was the guy that you're going to be counting on. Yeah, Tanner Bibby's kind of taking that role over. Gavin Williams has pitched well too. But for Cleveland, I think they're going to need to add another starter at the trade deadline if they're still in this position 2 months from now.
Well, they are off to a very, very hot start. Also, chat, feel free to chime in and hit Tyler and me with some questions and talk some sports and some gambling as well. Obviously, bet responsibly and do it on DraftKings, our partner here at Barstool Sports. Definitely enjoying the DraftKings app so far. Just all the options. And I'll tell you one of the other things I love about DraftKings. I hadn't really talked about this as much on Wake Up Mintzy because it's segmented, but y'all know I love college baseball. Man, DraftKings with college baseball, Moody, I remember a year or two ago, you couldn't get lines on hardly anything but maybe like College World Series or the tournament. Now you've got over-unders, lines, and run lines on games midweek and like every game. It's insane to see how far it's come. And, I always encourage people to check out college baseball. The Watch ESPN app has all the games. So it's fun that if you have that, you can watch them. But I'm kind of in deep in that. I had a 4-1 Tuesday and then I went 1-2 yesterday. But still doing pretty good. I kind of got a few gambling strategies I use in college baseball where midweek, a lot of times I'll take like a good G5 team against a Power 5 team who doesn't care as much because you can get good underdog value. Unders a lot on Friday when aces are pitching, and then like overs on Sunday when teams throw the back ends of their staff. These over-unders, it's funny. You'll see 15, 16. I've seen over-unders as high as 17 runs in college baseball, and they still fly over. It's just, I mean, I feel like it's almost like a different sport with the same rules. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, I mean, whenever you have some of these these bullpens that are just completely taxed by Sunday, and you're sending out some shitters, let's just say, we
Yeah.
can see some we can see some pretty crazy scores. I mean, it happens at every single level of Division One baseball too. I mean, I did some NAIA baseball for LSU Shreveport, and you would just see the Sunday games like 18-4, 20-3. They're it's not even baseball at that point. It's just freaking home run derby. It seems like.
Tell you what else is coming up soon in the sports world too. We're 1 week out from the NFL draft. Barstool, we always do a huge NFL draft show. Megan Making Money and I usually do some stuff with the Saints. It's 1 week from today. It's in Detroit. A lot of buzz. I'm kind of following it. Stephen Shea and Blutman doing a good job here at Barstool. I mean, it seems very obvious Caleb Williams is going to be the number 1 pick. I think the bigger question is what kind of suits he's going to show up in draft night. Everybody in Chicago, though, there's a big buzz around this Caleb Williams thing. The Bears, you got Keenan Allen with DJ Moore, and Look, usually when you're like a number one pick, you're coming to like a 2-15 team. The Bears were 7-10 last year, I believe. The defense took a lot of steps forward. If Caleb Williams is decent, they could actually compete next year for a playoff spot. And they've also got the 9 pick. Moody, I think we've seen a lot of trades in sports. I really think there's a chance that Carolina trade for Bryce Young is going to go down as one of the worst in NFL history.
If he doesn't show us something soon, it's certainly going to be in the running for it. I mean, he was awful last year, and what sucks for Bryce is he's in a situation where he doesn't really have many weapons around him. The offensive line's not great. There's just not much of an offense around him. Now, for Caleb Williams, he's going to be stepping into a situation where they just went and got him Keenan Allen. They've been working on the offensive line. They've got weapons across the board for him. So Caleb Williams is going to step into a much better situation than Bryce Young. And it's looking like right now that Bryce Young is going to go down as one of the bigger busts based on the draft capital that was poured into him.
Yeah, and they ended up giving up the 1 pick this year. They gave up so much. They gave up DJ Moore and Caleb Williams and a bunch of other stuff to get Bryce Young. I mean, ouch. And look, I don't like, everyone knows this about. I'm very transparent about when I'm right and when I'm wrong. Like I'm hand up. I'm wrong all the time. I mean, everybody is. But I was not wrong about Bryce Young. At least I haven't been yet. I didn't think he was going to be a very good pro quarterback. I always just thought he holds onto the ball too long watching him at Alabama and him just being small. I don't know. I just had a lot of doubts about him going in, and I thought it was crazy they took him over CJ Stroud. And, they're probably going to be paying for that for a long time. And, you look at how good CJ Stroud was, and then look at the deals. What'd you think about the Texans getting Diggs? The Texans all of a sudden have the star power. They've got premier guys. They've got Derek Stingley, one of the emerging young corners in the league. Laramie Tunsil's the best tackles. You got C.J. Stroud, franchise quarterback. Stephon Diggs, a receiver. And you got Will Anderson, who looked like an elite pass rusher his first year from Bama. I mean, all of a sudden, they've got like all the cornerstones you need to be an elite franchise. It's crazy.
It's going to be incredible for 2 years. The honeymoon phase with Diggs being there, he'll be happy for the first year. He'll be happy for half of the second year, and then things will start to fall apart towards the the end of year number 2 whenever Stephon Diggs becomes unhappy and upsets things in another organization. But I think for that first year it'll be incredible because Diggs is an absolute stud when he's happy. They have put a lot of good pieces there together in Houston. It's just, will Diggs come in and be a good locker room guy? It appears as though he's not been able to figure that part of football out yet.
Well, it makes sense for him to go there. They got CJ Stroud on that rookie contract, but
Yeah.
I think he could
Oh,
be
it's a great
dangerous.
move. I love the move.
Playing indoors too.
Yeah, I think it'll
You got to be
fall
happy to
apart
get
now.
out of Buffalo.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's hit. We got a couple more questions from the chat. Shout out to
Let's hear. We're going to try to shout out to the chat and our guys for supporting us. We're going to start answering more chat questions weekly. We appreciate you guys rolling Wake Up Mintzy and joining us every morning. And presented by Dude Wakes.
All right, yeah. Shout out to our guy Deez. He's got 2 questions here. Let's start with this one first. Who does Mintzy want the Saints to draft in the first round?
Okay, the Saints thing is interesting right now. First of all, the biggest thing they did this offseason was they got rid of Pete Carmichael and they hired Clint Kubiak. Moody, I know you very well. You're a Kyle Shanahan fan.
Mm-hmm.
That's putting it mildly. I like them going to Clint Kubiak, going to the Shanahan tree. He was the passing game coordinator for the Niners. Purdy averaged like the most yards per attempt in the NFL last year. He's going to be running that zone blocking scheme. And the Saints running game it was terrible last year because the O-line was so bad. So I think it's always a boring thing to say you're going to take an offensive lineman, but I expect the Saints to try to commit more to the run with the Shanahan thing, with Kubiak being off that tree. And so I think you're going to see an O-lineman pick first round. I also wouldn't mind an edge rusher. Dallas Turner's not going to fall that far, unfortunately, because I love all the havoc he wreaked at Alabama. But I'm expecting them to take one of the offensive linemen. I know that seems boring, but you got to beef up the line. Derek Carr's getting older. You got to have a balanced running game to help him out. So that's what I kind of think. But I'm cautiously optimistic about this Kubiak hire because I think them going that Shanahan direction. His dad was Gary Kubiak, coached the Broncos to the Super Bowl. Worked with, his dad obviously worked with Mike. He works with Kyle. I'm into going off this coaching tree. And you see that Shanahan tree is just taking over the league. I mean, look what D'Amico Ryans is doing for Houston.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, Shanahan is one of the brightest minds in the game. Kyle's ability to draw up plays is, second to none, in my opinion. No doubt one of the best coaches in the NFL. Let's see, what else do we have? Where do you think Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to end up?
Fourth to Arizona. They've kind of been talking about it. Word around the league, supposedly for the last year or two, is how much Arizona loves Marvin Harrison. And I think he's a great fit out in the desert with Collar. I think they'll be chunking it. I mean, I think fantasy wise, that's going to be a hell of a spot for him to land.
Yeah, no, I could see it. I mean, and they definitely need,
Maserati.
yeah, and they definitely need some help on the outside. I could see MHJ ending up there.
The interesting part, so when you look at the draft going in, the one pick's Caleb Williams, everybody knows it. Looks like the two picks, the Commanders, is going to be Jaden Daniels, which, well, look, I know people are all over on him because he's older stuff. I don't know what you can't not love. I mean, if you watched college football last year, LSU's offense was like the 2019 Burrow offense last year. It was that level. They were easily the best offense in college football. Andy's mobile and can run, which is super important in this modern NFL. But the way Jaden Daniels progressed, like when he got to LSU 2 years ago, he would lock on to one receiver and then he'd take off running. But last year, he's getting to his third option, his fourth option. Then he steps up, then he runs. His progression was mind blowing. And shout out to LSU offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach Joe Sloan, my buddy. I think did a great job helping develop him. And I'm trying to get Joe on Wake Up Mintzy next Thursday on draft day. I think that'd be cool to have him on talking about Jaden Daniels. But I think Daniels is solidly the number 2 pick over Drake May. And I know people aren't really arguing about it anymore, but it was an argument a few months ago. So he's going to go to the Commanders. The only knock on Daniels I have is he's got to protect himself. He took a lot of hits in college, and I think he's got to do a better job protecting himself in the NFL. But the interesting spot is 3 because the Patriots quarterback situation's a mess. Mac Jones didn't work out. He got traded to Jacksonville for 6th-round pick. I mean, they brought Jacoby Brissett back, which is like a good stopgap backup, but do you really think he could start? I guess they have Bailey Zappi still from Western Kentucky. But we know the Patriots are known for trading down. And they've got a lot of holes on that roster. And, obviously Belichick's gone now. They got Jared Mayo. Do they trade down and pick up more capital, or do they like Drake May? That's going to be the really interesting one. And then what's also fascinating is this J.J. McCarthy rise. The Michigan quarterback won a national title, but they had a great defense. They ran the ball. I mean, he was excellent. I mean, he's mobile. He can do a lot of good things, but he also wasn't necessarily asked to do the most because he had so much help around him. But you always see people excel in like pro day and combine and all that, but he's really risen. And a lot of people think the Shanahan tree is like a good fit for him because he can do all the play actions and rollouts and boots and all that kind of stuff. And you got some teams that are picking 11th, 12th, and 14th, I believe. The Vikings, Broncos, and Raiders all desperately need a quarterback. Desperately. And the Vikings have 2 first-round picks. They have the 23rd. I kind of think the Vikings are going to package 11, 23, and maybe some other stuff and like move up to 5 or 6 to get him. I kind of think this could happen. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's definitely possible. I mean, Minnesota, I just don't know what their direction is moving forward. Because they have some talent on that roster still. I don't know. We'll see. I'm curious to see what direction the Vikings go. I feel like they could actually stay away from a quarterback in the first with those first 2 picks.
Well,
And
they got Sam Darnold as their starter
right,
right
that's what I'm
now.
saying. There's a chance that they roll with him next year and just stack up some talent. Maybe punt a season, get a top 3 pick next year. I would not be surprised if that ended up being the route the Vikings take.
I don't think Justin Jefferson's going anywhere, but they've got to keep him happy. They have to. He's one of the top 3 receivers in pro football, and losing Cousins probably isn't good for him. Were you surprised they moved on for Cousins? I wasn't. I mean,
Not
after
at
the
that price
Achilles,
tag. No, that
yeah, and
yeah.
Achilles at 35, 36 is tough. I know that people can bounce back from Achilles. Like that used to be an injury that you really couldn't bounce back from, and now people are a little more. But still, I get why Atlanta paid for him, but man, 4 years, 180 million. I know the salary cap keeps going up, so I mean, I get that there's extra money, but like, damn, for a quarterback coming off torn Achilles at 36, I thought that was a pretty wild move.
Well, I mean, honestly, I can understand why Atlanta would give up that much money to acquire him. At the same time, I can totally understand Minnesota letting him walk for that price tag. So I think Kirk Cousins is one of the more interesting quarterbacks in the NFL because he's been pretty damn good, but he's not been elite at any point. Never have you looked at and said, "Hey, Kirk Cousins is going to be the guy that puts us in the Super Bowl." So to pay him that kind of money it feels like it's too much. But if you're Atlanta, you were desperate for a freaking quarterback. You've got talent. You need a guy to steer the ship. So I totally get it on both team sides right there. To be honest with you.
Well, it's interesting because Cousins always puts up big stats. You look at his numbers; he always does for 4,000 yards and all that. But then you look at his like Monday night stuff and his playoff stuff, and it definitely his stat. It's not the best with that track record. So I'm curious to see what happens on that front. But that's kind of what I'm looking at. I mean, there's going to be a lot of quarterbacks drafted in the first round. Once again, I'm not totally shocked by that, but I think the JJ McCarthy thing and seeing out of the Vikings, Broncos, and Raiders, because like what's Sean Payton going to do in Denver right now? I mean,
Mm.
obviously Russell Wilson's in Pittsburgh. Uh, who's Denver got right now? Jared Stidham. I mean, they can't roll with him. They got to do something, right?
Yeah, it kind of feels like Sean has some master plan in the back of his mind. Like obviously moving on from Russ, I feel like there may be a sleeper quarterback that we might see the Broncos make a run at. Wouldn't surprise me at all.
Well, I damn sure am enjoying talking some NFL draft and some football in here with you boys. Appreciate the chat, interacting.
Yeah, we got some more stuff from the chat as well. Well,
Let's
they're
do it.
kind of
Let's hey,
random
let's
questions though. They're not as much.
No, let's do it. Chat, ask whatever, man. I want to involve the chat. The one of the things is we evolve Wake Up Mintzy. I want the chat to have more of a role in it, and just really appreciate them joining us every morning here, presented by Dude Wipes, of
Do you
course.
have a pick for the NHL playoffs that are coming up?
Man, I love watching the NHL playoffs. I'm like a kind of a noob. I'm not going to sit here and say I know everything, but the intensity of it, so
Mm-hmm.
much fun. The only thing what I want to see is I want to see the Islanders play the Rangers second round because that would be just even when I lived in New York, that would be just so insane. Uh, One thing this year, last year, the Bruins, so winning the President's Trophy for most points in the season is kind of like a death nail. Apparently, nobody that's been the one overall seed and won that has won it in 11 years. This year, the Rangers won it. I kind of am looking out for the Bruins in the playoffs this year. Last year, they had the best regular season in history, and then they got beat first round. I kind of feel like they're sitting in a spot that maybe this year when people are pressure's off them, that is something. It'll be interesting to see if the Avs can repeat. I'll tell you who else is really good, Moody.
Oh, the freaking Stars, baby.
Yeah, that's what I was about to bring
Yeah,
up.
Stars are very good. No, they best team in the conference. I mean, I don't know. Again, I become a big hockey fan for a month during the playoffs. It's just so much fun. There's no intensity like playoff hockey. I'm the same way with the World Cup, right? Every 4 years, I'm a giant soccer fan for like a month and a half. I do the same thing with hockey every year because I feel like the regular season is just kind of boring. But damn, the intensity of playoff hockey is nearly unmatched in sports. I mean, it really is the best.
No, I feel like every year, I've said this before, I'll be watching NBA playoff games and they're 30-point blowouts in the third quarter. I flip over to some hockey game that's 2-2, like mid-third period. Just these people are just all but killing themselves out there for it. And yeah, the intensity is just unbelievable. And, I went to a couple of Blackhawks games this year and I've been to some Rangers games. And look, NHL, you don't grow up around it in Louisiana, but I mean, it's a spectacular product just because I grew up in an area where it wasn't a big thing doesn't mean I'm right about it. I really love it, and I feel like I'm going to get into it more and more in the years. Do you like the Stars? Is the Stars like your kind of bandwagon team? I would think with the
Yeah, I
Dallas.
mean they are. They've been my team. It's the only team I've ever really truly cheered for. I'll kind of adopt a team every playoffs. That's like, all right, they're fun. Maybe an underdog, a 7 or 8 seed that wins a game early and they're exciting to cheer for. But yeah, I'm definitely a Stars fan without question.
Okay, like that. But yeah, NHL playoffs about to crank up, and what like sports times of year? What's like your? I'm curious. What's your favorite stretch? Because this is I always feel like this is a little underrated time when you got like NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, Kentucky Derby. Uh, you'll get. I guess June's really what I always think's underrated because you get College World Series, NCAA baseball tournament, French Open, Wimbledon, U.S. Open, and golf. I feel like people kind of sleep on that. I mean, I think maybe October's my favorite though, with the baseball playoffs and football season in full swing.
100%. Yeah, that first week of football, normally the first week of the NFL season and the final week of fantasy baseball come to culminate together all at the same time. And that's usually my favorite. To have my fantasy team playing in the championship, week one of the NFL fantasy season firing up. That's probably my favorite week. Don't get me wrong. I freaking love opening day. Opening week of baseball is incredible, but I do think whenever you have football and baseball on the same day that it just can't be a better sports day.
Yeah, I love it. I'm already, it's kind of interesting. Time just flies. I mean, I can't believe we're almost at the end of April. I mean, we're like almost done with April now. And football season will be here before we know it. Get the draft come next week. We, as I said, NFL draft show Thursday night. Join us for that. It's always a huge, fun production. And then the NFL scheduling announcement day has turned into almost like a holiday too. And that's coming up in a few weeks. And I start making my fall calendar plans. It's exciting. The one road trip I want to make, I think the Saints are supposed to play at KC this year. I really want to go to KC. I'd like to go. I got to go see my brother Patrick Mahomes in the flesh.
Yeah, I mean, you got to go hang out with your boy Patrick Mahomes. Obviously, the atmosphere in Arrowhead is elite as hell as well. So I see we got quite a few hockey fans in the chat. Some love for the Carolina
Yeah. Hey,
Hurricanes.
by the way, all the hockey fans in the chat, I'm gonna get Biz or Whitney on next week from Chicklets to do a hockey playoff preview for sure. So we're gonna try to give you hockey guys some love in the playoffs, and I'll try to start making some. I think it'll be funny. I'll try to start making some like casual picks. Is how I'll put it.
The franchise holding you accountable though. He said it would be hard for the Avs to repeat since Vegas won it last year. It was the Golden Knights who were
No,
the
yeah, yeah. I
standing
know. No, it was
champs.
2 years ago. 2 years ago, the Avs won, and that shows how stupid I am. Shout out to him in the chat. I went to the game where the Golden Knights clinched it, and I just thought, I mean, I'm a moron. Like it takes a special idiot. Like I was there game 5 when they clinched it in Vegas, which was, by the way, Moody. I mean, I've been to some sporting events. That game 5 atmosphere in Vegas when they clinched it was one of the craziest damn things I've ever seen. I mean, it was just turned up to a level that I can't even like. I don't know. I've seen. I mean, it was one of the best atmospheres I've ever seen. They won like 9-3. I mean, it was like the wildest hockey game I've ever seen.
Let's see some more questions in the chat. Mincy, what are you doing for 420? Got any plans for Saturday?
Uh, okay, that's funny you mentioned that. I'm going to Vegas. I'm playing the celebrity poker thing in Vegas on Friday at the Poker Go Studios in Aria. I'm super pumped about it. It's like a 9-person sit and go. And it's 10,000 to first, 5,000 second, and most of the people that are in it don't have poker backgrounds. So I'm actually one of the favorites in it. Um, I'll be in Vegas. I've got a really quick trip because I actually have a red eye out Saturday at 1 a.m. because I have to host. I'm hosting that Barstool bar event with Tate, the chicken wing eating competition for their Jam Fest. So Saturday, I'm probably chilling. I'm probably just gonna chill in Vegas. Is the plan? I wanted to go see Fish at the Sphere super bad. I've been hearing these reports on the Sphere, the YouTube thing. I mean, it like have you seen the Sphere stuff? It looks
Yes.
like one of the most incredible concert. I mean, it's unbelievable.
It looks
And
like an incredible place to be on 420 is all I know. I mean, if you could get in there and see Fish on 420, get your mind right before you go in there, I think it's probably a pretty pretty fun event.
these damn Fish tickets, man. I thought I had one for Saturday, and then it fell through. And the cheapest ticket on this run I'm still seeing is like $400. I mean, these tickets are nuts. They start tonight. It's Thursday through Sunday. If I go one night, it would be Friday after I get done with the poker thing. Would probably be my schedule because it would just be weird. Like, what do you think? Moody, you're a big show guy. Like, if I went Saturday and had a 1 a.m. flight, I'd have to leave the show like early to mid second set. I don't know what I'd do with my bag. I feel like that wouldn't be a fun, enjoyable show experience. Like
I
with that
I would
flight.
agree with you, and you can't fully get where you want to get. I'm gonna say that, kind of shadily, I guess. You can't fully get to where you want to get mentally, and knowing that you have to fly out in a couple hours, that would be in the back of your mind. You can't just let go and have some fun. So yeah, I would probably take aim at Friday if I was you.
Yeah, that's my thoughts. But so if I get to go, I would like to go Friday. But I really want to go to the Sphere, and Moody's a big live music guy too. I actually nerded out the other night. One of my favorite things to do is get the jazz. Like I always go to New Orleans Jazz Fest one weekend, and I'm going the second weekend this year, which is the first weekend of May. And I got like the whole Jazz Fest lineup out, and then they have this thing called the Jazz Fest Grids, which is all the night shows in New Orleans, and like got out and kind of pieced together what I want to do with my schedule and stuff. I just like nerd out so hard on it. But yeah, a lot of good live music coming up, and just being in Chicago too. I mean, everything comes through here. Uh, I want to. If I wasn't going to Vegas, I'd go see the Black Crows on Friday night for sure. But I'm going to be in Vegas, so can't book them all.
Now a very pressing question from chat, one that they have been wondering about for weeks, and I think maybe we need to address it for them here, Mincy. Where is KB? When will we be seeing KB?
Okay, okay. So this keeps coming up, and I keep asking KB about it, and he keeps saying we're doing it soon, but we're going to do a big production when we do it. So I promise we're doing it. So I mean, whenever I can get him locked down, I'm catching all this hell like, oh, you want to have KB on? I'm asking him, and he wants to come on, but I can't get it pinned down. So I'm going to keep doing it, and he promises he's going to do it. So we're going to have a KB show soon, but I don't have the date because I can't get a firm commitment from him. So, but it's people are saying, this whole narrative that's on me. Like, look, ball's in his court right now. I want him here. We all want him here. We want to give the people what they want. He's hilarious. I'm a huge fan of his, so I'm looking forward to it. But I don't have a finite answer on it. But it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, and speaking of giving the people what they want, if y'all got any questions for Mintzy here on the back end, let us know. I have a question for you personally, Mintzy. Drake or K Dot? Do you know anything about the Drake and
I just
beef
saw
about the rap beef, the diss?
I saw Dante the Don was writing a blog about it, but I don't know about. You're gonna have to clue me in on it, Moody.
So Drake, who is your favorite rapper? Do you have a favorite rapper first, Ben?
Man, I like all I'm a big I like all the NOLA South Louisiana guys. Those are just kind of all my favorite. Lately, I'd say Boozy's probably my favorite.
Sure. No, I mean these are very respectable answers. I'm a Lil Wayne fan. Obviously, us being from Louisiana, Boosie and Lil Wayne are always acceptable answers. But Drake got dissed by Kendrick, and it's turned into a huge thing. So I didn't know, you being the rap aficionado that you are, I thought maybe you would have have an opinion there on Drake uh, and Kendrick.
What's the beef about?
Just being the best rapper in the game. They're basically beefing over who's the best, and there's just been some stuff boiling for a while. Kendrick called out Drake. Drake came firing back a couple days ago with a very good diss, I might say. And right now, the rap game is on fire. And I just, you can't mention the rap game being on fire without Ben Mintz having an opinion. So figured
Oh,
we'd
clearly.
see what was going on.
There's a show, Smoothie King, and during Jazz Fest, there's a Master P like birthday celebration that has Boozy and a whole bunch of people that I took like a little look at that I thought would be awesome. Like I grew up, so I loved Master P Ghetto D when I was in high school. That album, I loved it. That was like I remember more, like during formative music years. So I think that would be a cool show to see.
Yeah, Master P was the man for a minute. He built some stuff quickly, and he got out of the game quick. Didn't stick around, made his money. Obviously, his son went on to have success. So, talk about a dude that made it and then made life pretty simple for themselves.
Yeah, no, I mean, you and me both met him in Shreveport, right? Weren't
Yep.
you there when he came through the studio back when Moody and I were grinding North Louisiana radio?
Yeah, met him. We had Taylor Swift come through one time. We were giving away tickets whenever she was playing in town. Bruno Mars was probably the coolest person that we ever met whenever he did his show there.
I didn't meet Taylor Swift or Bruno Mars.
Well, I was doing the morning show and we were giving away tickets for them to help out. So yeah, that was. We did not have Taylor Swift on the sports talk show. No, she steered clear of you, Mincy.
She's coming out with an album tomorrow, though, right?
Ooh, really? I did not. I don't know.
Yeah, it's all the Swifties are going nuts this week. It's a whole thing. She's got a new album.
I'm not a hater necessarily. I get that Taylor Swift is, one of the best musicians in the world, but not necessarily my cup of tea personally.
That's fair.
Yep.
That's where my sister would disagree with you vehemently. She's diehard Swiftie.
Look, I get it. I mean, Taylor Swift she's the best female artist on the planet for most people. I mean, superstar, no doubt about it.
No doubt. Do we have any more from the chat?
Does Mintz think Michael Pratt out of Tulane will be a good NFL quarterback?
It's always weird because I've met him a few times, and I think he's like pretty talented. He's mobile, he's pretty talented, but I don't know about a good NFL quarterback. Maybe he could stick on as a backup and hang around, but I don't know if he's any better than that. Like, I think he's very good, but I also think a lot of Tulane success the last few years was like they've had a really good defense and a good overall team. So I'm not sure if he's a pro quarterback, to be honest. No, I'm definitely pulling for him though. Not sure what that ends with. Got to kick with the Tulane football team too at Hogs, dude. That was fun.
Yeah, you've actually become pretty good friends with Tulane.
Yeah. My grandfather went there, and I lived in uptown New Orleans, and so it was right there. And I really liked their hire. They hired John Summerall from Troy to replace, to replace Willie Fritz, who went to Houston. And look, on another note, watch out for Fritz at Houston the next few years. Them being in the Big 12 and the NIL money they have, I think they could be like a playoff contender year in, year out. Just give them 2 or 3 years.
One of the final questions we have here. What's the next food item we will see Mincy attempt to cook?
Mm. I don't know. There's a lot of talk about Chef Donnie and I want to start doing a little more because how bad that grilled cheese situation was. I don't know if Frank the Tank's been talking about tank cooks. I feel like we might have to do some breakfast stuff. Would be the next thing. I could see that. I'm okay cooking eggs. Well, I did screw up that egg last year too, but yeah. But I would say I would think some breakfast stuff would be my next lean.
Let's see. A couple people in the chat talk about Spencer Rattler. What's your opinion on Spencer Rattler?
His upside, he's just too inconsistent, I think, to be like a week in, week out NFL starter. But man, he's an all-time heat check guy because when he gets hot, I mean, he gets like lava hot. But he turns the ball over. He kind of throws too many picks. I think he's a great guy to take a flyer on though, because if you don't have to take him early in the draft, and his upside is just so crazy. But I think the big part of the Spencer Rattler thing, and this is anything, but he needs to go to like the right coaching staff and organization to get developed properly, I think.
I could see Spencer Rattler being a backup quarterback. QB in front of him gets hurt, comes in the second quarter, throws 3 touchdowns, leads the team to a win. Everybody's hyping him up all week, and then the very next week he comes out and throws 3 interceptions as the starter. I could see that being something that happens with Spencer Rattler.
Yeah, he's all over the place, but he had some great games in his South Carolina career. I mean, the season before last, that heater when they beat Tennessee, they scored 60 something points, and then they came back and beat Clemson, and then lost a shootout to Notre Dame in the bowl game. I mean, I was very impressed. He lost a lot of his talent. He had less talent last year.
Next question from Truth. Is Neighbors the second best wide receiver in the draft? And I guess on top of that, just who are your top 3 or 4 receivers?
I think this is, I mean, I'll probably catch heat for this. I think Neighbors is the best wide receiver in the draft. I really do. I think he's better than Harrison. I think if Marvin Harrison has a better name, but I think Neighbors is unbelievable. I mean, he like broke the LSU receiving record. You look at all the guys that have come through there. He's an elite route runner. The way he goes in and out of breaks, I feel like. I mean, he's just. I don't know. I think he's incredible. I like Rome Odunze from Washington. He's also really good. A lot of people think the Bears are going to take him at 9. Brian Thomas from LSU also could get in the back of the first round. I mean, this is an elite wide receiver draft. I'd say Neighbors and Harrison are neck and neck, but Marvin Harrison's going to go ahead of him. He's more established and all that. But yeah, that's probably the list I go with. But I really like Rome Odunze from Washington too.
Yeah, no, I mean some absolute studs there across the board. All right, that's all I got at the moment, chat. We appreciate y'all kind of getting involved here, and that's something we want to do more of in the future. In fact, we have some ideas for stuff with chat. We're gonna try and keep building here, and yeah, we were supposed to have Frank today. Frank unfortunately couldn't make it this morning. He had they're shooting some
film
other stuff,
shooting.
so yeah, so Frank had some stuff he had to attend to. We were planning on having Frank, but unfortunately things change, and sometimes you just got to make stuff happen on the fly. So that's where we're at this morning.
That's Barstool. But this has been fun. I mean, I'd like to hear the chat's response on this too. But like, love talking sports with you, Moody. I mean, obviously our backgrounds are big on that, so this is kind of fun for me. But Barstool, what makes it so great though, it's like you have sports talk, but then you've got us doing the film fest and rough and round. It's a combo of a lot of stuff. So, but we just want to keep people on their toes, is the thought. Well, Moody, I want to thank you as always, and our sponsors, Dude Wipes and Stella Blue. I've got a fun day of shooting this film fest all day, and I got to say, I'm kind of eagerly anticipating it. I can't give away what our idea is, but the idea our team has is one of the craziest damn things I've ever seen or heard in my entire life, and I feel like I've seen a lot of crazy things in my life. So I think be on the lookout for this film fest thing. It's going to be super, super fun. The red carpet event's next Friday afternoon. I'm sure it'll be on all the Barstool streaming channels. But if we execute, and the team we got, I'm on Nick Tarani, he's our writer, and Walker and Pat, Nikki Smokes. We got Fastouli, we got Hank. We got a loaded team. We got Mad Dog. I'm super excited to work with them, and today should be quite an interesting, entertaining experience. Before I get out of here, remind everybody, buy Rough and Rowdy tomorrow night. All new fighters, chaos in West Virginia. Ring Girls, Dave, Big Cat, you name it. Should be a hell of a time. And come join Tate and me on Sunday afternoon at the River North Bar for the wing eating competition, too. A lot of fun stuff going on at Stool, as always. And thank y'all for joining us here on Wake Up Mintzy, presented by Dude Wipes. We're back. I mean, is this, 4 or 5 weeks in a row now, Moody? I can't even remember. We've been doing so many shows.
Yeah, it's like solid 4 weeks in a row.
Hell yeah. Well, we're back again next week, too. And we'll have some guests and interact. We'll raise some hell. So thank y'all for joining us. And we'll see you guys on Tuesday. What's up, fellas? As y'all know, it's been a hell of a messy year. And the only thing messier than my online history are my big old fat sweaty dumps. That's why this season, I only trust Dude Wipes to handle my Mississippi mud pies.
Oh, Mintzy, you're cooking now. Ooh, wait.
When you're hot, you're hot.